Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're digging into something pretty remarkable in the gaming world, specifically looking at market dynamics, platform strategy, and just a massive success story.
We really are. We're talking about Street Fighter 6.
And the number that really kicks this whole conversation off is 6 million.
6 million copies sold worldwide. It's a huge milestone. For a lot of games, 5 million is a fantastic achievement, maybe even the ceiling.
Right.
But crossing 6, especially for a fighting game, that's not just a hit, it's something bigger. It signals a real sort of seismic shift in how far that franchise can reach.
Absolutely. And that number is so significant. So for you, our listener who follows these trends, our mission today is to go past the headline. We want to really dissect what allowed this legacy franchise to build such incredible momentum.
And sustain it.
And sustain it, exactly. We're going to look at the sales surge and, crucially, that strategic move onto the new Nintendo Switch 2.
Okay, so let's maybe start with the foundation. Where did this all begin?
Good idea. So SF6 came out, June 2nd, 2023?
Right.
So we're not talking about some brand new shiny launch title. This is a game that has stayed relevant for, well over a year now.
And that maturity, that's precisely why 6 million is such a heavy number.
Yeah.
I mean, your typical fighting game sees a really steep drop-off in sales after, say, the first 6 months.
Oh, for sure.
The fact that Street Fighter 6 has kept this up, it means the initial product was just so good. It kept the community hooked. It created this positive feedback loop that just keeps pulling new players in long after that initial launch hype is gone.
We talk a lot about the importance of mechanics in these competitive games. What was it specifically, according to our sources, that made SF6 such a high-quality product from day one?
The sources all point back to one core innovation, really, the drive system.
Drive system.
For anyone who plays, that immediately brings up drive rush, drive parry, drive impact. These weren't just tweaks. These mechanics fundamentally changed the flow of the game.
How?
They reward smart, strategic aggression, but they also give you new defensive options. It was a complete revitalization of the formula, not just, a fresh coat of paint.
So it wasn't just about adding new characters to the roster, though that obviously helps. It was the core engine of the game that kept the hardcore players locked in.
Exactly. And at the same time, you had accessibility options like the modern control scheme, which was huge for bringing in a new audience.
Right, that simplified the inputs for special moves.
It was critical. It lowered the barrier to entry without sacrificing depth. So you had this perfect blend, really. It was a deep, competitive game for the faithful audience, but also a really approachable starting point for newcomers. That's how you lay the groundwork for this kind of success.
Okay, so let's talk about momentum, because this is where the numbers get, for me, really fascinating. Hitting 5 million sales for a major title is already great.
Excellent, yeah.
But for a game that's past its first anniversary, that sales curve, it should be flattening out, right?
It should be. But what's critical here is the timeline and a very specific external event. We know SF6 had already crossed 5 million units shortly after the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2.
So 5 million is already heavyweight status. That's from the initial quality, the cross-platform sales on PC, PlayStation, Xbox.
Right. But then the curve didn't just flatten. It changed. It shifted dramatically. It just defied the standard decay model. The source material breaks down this recent surge, and it's pretty stunning. In just a month and a half, the sales figure just shot up.
A month and a half, that's it.
That's it. An additional 300,000 units flew off the shelves.
Yeah.
That's what pushed it from around 5.7 million right up to that 6 million milestone they just announced.
Let's just pause on that for a second. We're talking 300,000 copies in about 45 days. For a game that's 18 months old, that kind of sales acceleration is, it's almost unheard of in this genre. Usually you see a huge spike at launch, and then you're just relying on, holiday sales for small bumps.
That's right. A sustained burst like this, it tells you an outside catalyst just opened up a whole new market.
A new opportunity.
A huge one. And all signs point to their platform strategy. When you see a legacy title suddenly accelerate like this, you have to look for new hardware.
Which brings us right to the Switch 2. The game is everywhere, right? PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox Series X and S, PC, and now the Nintendo Switch 2.
The wide availability is the foundation, sure. But the Switch 2 version wasn't just them checking a box. It was a serious strategic investment.
Okay, explain that.
Well, look at the timing. The console itself launches on June 5th, 2025. Street Fighter 6 was on the eShop just days later. They positioned themselves perfectly to ride that first massive wave of new console owners.
But here's the question I have. Why put so many resources into tailoring an experience for the Switch 2? It's a brand new console, so the install base is, by definition, smaller than the millions of PS5s and PCs already out there. Doesn't that seem risky?
That's a great question. It's about risk versus reward. Capcom clearly saw that the Switch 2 audience is a unique demographic.
How so?
It's an audience that's often looking for high-quality competitive games that are also portable. By launching right away, and, crucially, by customizing the experience, they captured a huge chunk of early adopters who might not own a PlayStation or a high-end PC.
Okay, so let's get specific on customizations. We need to go beyond just saying exclusive features. What did they actually do for the Switch 2 version?
The sources confirm they focused heavily on two things: controls and display. For controls, they spent a lot of time streamlining how the modern control scheme works with the Switch 2's Joy-Cons and Pro Controller.
Ah, so making sure the simplified inputs felt natural on that specific hardware.
Exactly. It had to feel intuitive, not like a clunky workaround. That's key for keeping it accessible for someone playing on the go.
That makes sense.
And then there's the display optimization. Fighting games need incredibly precise visual feedback.
Absolutely. Every frame counts.
So they had to tailor the game's HUD, the heads-up display, all the visual elements to be perfectly clear on both a big TV when it's docked and on that smaller handheld screen. That takes a whole separate development effort. It's a major investment, and it signals a real commitment to that platform's audience.
And when you look back at other fighting games on Nintendo consoles, sometimes they felt a bit like afterthoughts.
Well, compromise ports, yeah.
This sounds different. This commitment to hardware-specific features seems to have really paid off by tapping into that massive new hardware launch.
It absolutely did. The success on Switch 2 proves that it's not just about scaling graphics down anymore. It's about creating platform-specific features. It turns the release from just another port into a must-have reason for a new Switch 2 owner to buy the game.
Okay, let's put this 6 million number into context, because context is everything when you're tracking these kinds of achievements.
Right. And if you look at the bigger picture, Street Fighter 6 is just setting an incredible standard. The source material also mentions the success of Dragon's Dogma 2.
Another big Capcom title.
A huge one. It's a major success, recently celebrated selling over 4 million copies.
And 4 million for a newer IP like that is massive. It shows the publisher is really healthy overall.
It is. But when you put that 4 million next to Street Fighter 6's 6 million, it just highlights the incredible enduring power of a legacy franchise when it's executed this well.
So SF6 is really positioned as the heavyweight champion of recent competitive games. It's pulling ahead of even some highly anticipated new titles.
It really is.
This says a lot about the developers' understanding that it's not just about launch week anymore, it's about continuous engagement. This milestone really feels like a testament to the community's investment.
And that investment from the community creates an expectation for the future, right? The source material says the fight is far from over. That's not just marketing fluff. It reflects the reality of live service games today.
So we shouldn't expect them to slow down. We should expect them to keep pushing to maintain this momentum.
Exactly. The expectation is for a constant stream of vibrant updates. That means balanced patches to keep the meta fresh and, probably more importantly, more characters being added to the roster.
New content to keep people engaged.
You have to. You have to keep introducing new matchups, new challenges to stop the hardcore players from leaving and to keep the casual audience coming back. To keep a community of 6 million players active, you have to keep feeding the beast, so to speak.
So if we synthesize all of this, the knockout factors that got Street Fighter 6 to this 6 million landmark, we've got the incredible internal quality, that core gameplay innovation with the drive system, the raw numbers showing that rapid acceleration long past the usual decay curve.
And the external factor.
And the external factor, that brilliant strategic move of maximizing a platform reach with a truly customized version for the Nintendo Switch 2 launch.
That's a perfect summary. It really shows that success on this scale is a fusion of a great product and perfect market timing. But it also, I think, it forces us to look at a bigger industry shift. Well, given how much they tailored Street Fighter 6 for the Switch 2, and how that clearly drove this final sales surge, it really makes you wonder, does this set a new precedent?
You mean, is this the new standard?
Exactly. Is this kind of specialized platform-specific content, is it now mandatory for any major fighting franchise that wants to hit these record-breaking numbers?
That is the big question, isn't it? Is the era of the generic one-size-fits-all port officially over for the market leaders? The data from Street Fighter 6 would certainly suggest that deep strategic customization is now the price of admission to the 6 million plus club.
Something to think about.
We'll leave you to mull over what that means for future game development. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.